as Shinoi said, Candy Cross from Wire Network. And this is more of like an educational presentation. I want to let everyone know what's about to happen in this industry, because every once in a while, innovation happens, a paradigm shift. Bitcoin came around and changed the way money was transferred. You had Uniswap come around and change how automated market makers were created. And now with Wire, we're going to change how liquidity is aggregated and how transactions cross-chain are facilitated. So we had a universal infrastructure, which means you don't need a bridge, you don't need an oracle, you don't need any additional consensus mechanism to make cross-chain transactions happen. We could pull through the security of Ethereum, Solana, and not have a bridge or an attack vector that to be exploited. So the way that we do this is there is no Vern and Knit functionality. There's no wrapping. We keep all assets on their native chain, and we abstract ownership into a universal transaction layer. This allows communities and to develop, not in isolation, and it allows anyone to pick what network they want to build on and then give themselves universal interoperability. So this is the current world. It's not even the old world. This is how you have to get through to make a cross-chain transaction right now. There's so many hops, so many steps. And now once you solve interoperability properly, you get down to really simple interactions, which is you connect your wallet, you take a click, and it completes transactions across any chain that you need. So once you do this, you also are not beholden to the gas fees of the main chain. So if Ethereum gas goes to $100, it doesn't matter anymore, because once you come up into a transaction layer, the transaction layer is facilitating those transactions for Ethereum mainnet assets. So if you're trying to do a swap from ETH to Solana, it literally doesn't matter how saturated the native chain is, what the price is. You can facilitate those transactions as fast as you need to, because there's 10,000 TBS, and as cheap as our current network is, was going to be so embracing. So, and we made it a very light integration. So there's not a heavy build. Like, we come from enterprise development. We understand that it needs to be just plug and play. So it's going to be one integration for all blockchains and unified standards across communities. And this is the big thing. This industry needs universal liquidity, and allowing assets from Solana, Ethereum, Polkadot, Hedera, you name it, come in and have a universal marketplace, a universal DEX, a universal wallet. This is going to be the industry standard here by the end of the year. So I want to keep it quick today, but the point of this is it's no longer a blockchain war. It's not going to be like, I need to get users on one chain or the other. It's going to be wherever the users are, you're going to be able to aggregate them all into one area. And now you're going to be competing at the product level. So if you have the best DEX, if you have the best DeFi protocol, if you have the best game, it doesn't matter what chain it's built on anymore. It's all about having those users having a seamless integration into it. And this is what Wire does. It's just chain agnostic, like under the waterline infrastructure. Think of it like, if you're from the early 90s or the late 90s, early 2000s, if you go down to the bottom right of a website, it was powered high Intel. That's what Wire is. We're just underlying powering what all these chains need to have happen, who can finally move this industry forward.
So what's the consensus mechanism between chains with Wire?
So that's how we've reviewed bridging. So there's only two ways you can do interoperability right now. One is centralization, like Binance is a centralized or a universal exchange because they centralize everybody. And everybody else, whether it's Layer 0, ChainLink or Zeta Chain or any other ones, they all add an additional consensus mechanism because you can't weld these blockchains together. So there always is a gap. And so far the solution, which is not the future solution, is you have to introduce centralization, black box, a less secure environment to make these assets come across chains, because you're literally going from Ethereum to Solana. You don't need to do that. You lock the asset on the main chain, and then the deed or the title is abstracted up into a universal transaction layer, kind of like a Visa network. And so, since you don't need a bridge, you don't have to have an attack vector, an additional consensus mechanism. It pulls through the consensus of the chains that you're already on. And so, if you believe Solana is secure, you inherently have to believe that Wire's UTL is secure. You believe Ethereum is secure, which everyone does. You natively have to believe that Wire's interoperability is secure. And it takes away the attack vector. It adds speed and security. It takes costs down to nil. It actually solves the problem. All right. Thank you, everyone.